Hello everyone, and my dear subscribers. If you're still wondering whether you should save Summer Event Power Pass for Valkyrie, this video is made for you. Today I'll be sharing my experience after playing Valkyrie for the past 4 weeks. My Valk is currently sitting at 1720 gear score, 2300 combat power, with level 5 enlightenment and level 6 leap karma. If you're new or returning and not sure what that means, basically, she is in the mid-range level among those tackling hard mode Act 3 Mortem, which is the latest raid. Long story short, I fell in love with the class at first sight and invested a lot into the class. Valkyrie is a gorgeous class. Smilgate clearly put a ton of effort into making her feel special. She came with a brand new character preset, a Valkyrie exclusive voice, and even a fresh hairstyle. Her skill animations and visual effects absolutely stunning. Let me take you back. When Lostark launched in the West, I remember everyone asking, how's Paladin, what's Paladin's DPS like? And I never really understood the obsession with the DPS Holy Knight. But after Valkyrie revealed during Winter Loaon and a month of playing her, I get it now. I fully understand what immersion and theme means in MMORPGs. Valkyrie hails from Shusshire, Lostark's version of Nordic region. Her name comes from Norse mythology, Odin's warrior maidens. That strong fantasy vibe, it's real and it's powerful. Just look at this hyper awakening animation. It's absolutely badass. I find myself logging in just to do any activity with her, whether I'm raiding, doing dailies, life skilling, or running cubes. Alright, enough fanboying. Let's talk about what actually matters. Her kit. Starting with a DPS build. Stat-wise, Valkyrie is a crit-based class with swiftness as your secondary. Around 45% of her total damage comes from her identity skill. Let's call it X skill for simplicity. Her playstyle is pretty straightforward. Spam your skills off cooldown, build up the identity, then unleash the Excalibur on your enemies. Here's the cool part. You don't even have to hit enemies to charge your identity. Just using skills fill it up. After 15 skill uses, you can press Z to activate your buff, enhancing X skill and your next 3 red skills. In terms of difficulty, she's one of the easiest DPS classes to play. A huge reason is that X skill is push immune, meaning most enemies' attacks won't interrupt the strongest skill, unless it's a status effect. Let's dive a little deeper and talk about the stats and build. With the DPS Enlightenment engraving, per 1% crit rate, Valkyrie gains 0.55% damage and 1.5% damage to X skill. So yes, crit is her king. You want to get as close to 100% as possible. Anything beyond that won't boost your damage unless you go with Blunt Thorn from the Evolution tab. Don't forget, party crit synergy also counts. If you can rely on teammates for that 10% crit buff, you can aim for 90% on your own. In my case, I usually don't trust pugs, but if I'm playing with friends, I shift my evolution settings depending on if I want more damage or faster cooldowns. Another nice bonus, she gets 30% movement speed from certain skills. That makes Raid Captain engraving one of the strongest engravings, a great candidate for her build. My A and S skill both have tripods that grant the speed buff, and I spam them constantly to build identity, so uptime is basically permanent. She also has a built-in party synergy. My A and Q skill gives 8% crit damage. Be sure to use those, especially A before popping your big burst. A has both party synergy and movement speed tripod. For adrenaline stack rotation, try this. My W, Q, W, A, Z, and X for 6 stacks of adrenaline engraving. There are other skill setups with conviction judgment combos, but going too deep into skill setup would make this video 40 minutes long. This is a solid starter skill set you can tweak later to your liking. I'll leave a link to my build so you can have a look if you want. So right around now, you might be wondering, how's her actual DPS or how's her performance? Based on my testing with a personal meter during raids, I'd say she performs pretty well. Not overpowered like some new class releases, but definitely solid. I would place her comfortably in the top half, maybe even top quarter when it comes to real raid performance. Let's watch how she plays and what DPS looks like for a few minutes. She needs to start off with a big burst cycle, but due to quick recharge rune procs and raid situations, you often end up in situations where you sort of end up flexing with the skill rotations. So if you want to show up on the MVP screen, I suggest you use Atrophin at the very start of the raid and after gimmicks when your skills are all lined up. So, do I recommend the class? Yes and no. Here's a catch. Her other class engraving is a support build. So, if you picked her because she looks cool and want to go full DPS, just be aware that if Smilegate nerfs her DPS in the future, you might end up getting pushed into support duties. Now, about that support build, I do switch to it occasionally, especially in Guardian raids with full DPS teams, and honestly, it's pretty fun. The support animations are awesome, especially this push immunity party DR shield. You actually look like you are using the shield to protect your ally. Her support kit is simple, effective, and doesn't lack anything major. Her identity does build a little slower than other supports, but she gets a unique 2% damage and 6% movement speed buff after using identity for 1 minute, so there's that. Also, her support Hyper Awakening, just wow. It just still looks amazing after 1 month. As my final verdict, so Benji, do you recommend her or not? Here's my honest take. She is the perfect ult. She is fun, stress-free, stylish, a great secondary class you can bring to both a DPS or support roles when your raid is missing something. But she is definitely a risky main. Let me show you something. If you check this DPS log site, you'll notice a pattern in how Smilegate balances classes. The higher tier classes usually have wide skill ceiling, meaning skilled players can push them hard. Which on the other hand means your DPS can be down here if you aren't skilled with the class enough. As you go down the list, that gap shrinks. Either because the class is easy to play or there are fewer players left who's mastered it, I'm not sure. But it is true that the classes on the bottom side have narrower gap between DPS floor and ceiling. Valkyrie feels like she might eventually land in that stable but capped tier. Great performance, but low skill ceiling might hurt her in the future patches. Of course, this is just my assumption. You should just do what your heart tells you to do. I just wanted to share my view and how I'm approaching the class. Who knows, maybe this will help you make the decision as well. To wrap it up, TLDR, Valkyrie is one of the most complete, beautiful, and satisfying class Smilegate has ever released. The fantasy, aesthetics, gameplay, all top tier. Just be informed before making her your main. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.